Well, I'll call the meeting to order right now. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chair, before we get into the agenda, I was just wondering if I could make a motion to move agenda item 8.3 to agenda item 8.1, just in the interest of we have some individuals from the Board of Education and the superintendent here just to expedite their end. Okay, so we make a motion, it's on the table. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Green. Is there any discussion? All right, we are hybrid tonight, so we will have to do a roll call vote. Councilor Butler.
Aye.
Councilor Noonan. Aye. Councilor Green. Aye. Councilor Williams. Aye. Councilor Levy.
Aye.
And then Councilor Shea.
Aye.
All right, I'm an aye as well. So the agenda is amended as such. Okay. We do not have any proclamations and presentations tonight, so that will bring us to item 5. Public petitions, communications, and public participation on any subject within the jurisdiction of the town council with a 2-minute time limit. Is there anybody in the room who would like to make a public comment? Yes, please.
Back in May, it was Lane. I think that this is your last meeting, right? Is that true? Thank you for volunteering your time for the town. But I would like to target some things towards Joe Shea. He fought against the school budget every step of the way. He actively fought to make our schools worse for his own self-interest. And that makes me sad to see a member of the community actively trying to hurt members of the school district. And as a student in the school district, I'm feeling these effects of this budget crisis. Every single year, it's been worse since kindergarten. I'm a junior. This is my 12th year in this school system. And I have another year to go. I have siblings in 8th grade. They're gonna have to put up with this. There's kids in kindergarten that they're gonna have to put up with this until senior year. It gets worse every year. And we're not doing anything to salvage this mess. And pretty soon it's become such a crisis that students aren't gonna be able to get into any classes that they need. Class sizes are gonna be overfilled. And we're gonna have to start worrying about what's legal instead of what's best for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go online. We'll go to Nicholas Miller. Can you, Nicholas?
Hi, Nicholas Miller, Hilltop Road 55. I just want to second what Beckett said. The budgets have been damaging to the schools. And of course, it's not only Councilor Shea's issue, it's also it's the votes of the town. So we have to acknowledge that too. But the consequence of that is, there are going to be bigger classroom sizes. There's less class, availability, less diversity in classes. There are fewer nurses to take care of students. So when students are having health issues, they'll be facing longer. They might be facing longer wait times. And we also know historically when schools are underfunded, paraprofessionals are undertrained, and this can result in abuse on kids, and this broadens out to other classrooms. So it is important to continue trying to fund schools and to push to fund them and make sure that they're adequately funded. And I thank most of you for what you have done in trying to make that happen while trying to also balance the needs of the town and its residents. So thank you for those of you who have been working.
Thank you. We'll go back to the room. Yes.
Good evening. Susan Lusak Hughes, 95 Tolland Green. I'm chair of the Commission on People with Disabilities as well. I'm simply here tonight to say thank you. I wanted to take the opportunity to come and personally thank the entire council for the efforts and bipartisan support towards our commission for this entire term. On top of everything, we've asked you to take the time and effort to better understand the ADA and the obligations we have as a municipality. We've asked you to better understand the litigation situation in town, which is preventing the previous town council's decision to put an ADA compliant walkway on the town green. And I am sad that this project has still not started and some of you are leaving, but I wanted to take the time and make sure it was recognized that there has been support on both sides of the aisle for the sidewalk project. If you haven't seen our commission's latest newsletter, I would urge you to take a look, and I have a copy I can leave. But what we've done is we've listed all of our accomplishments over the past 5 years since we started. And we're very proud of the improvements and accommodations that have been implemented across the entire town and for people with disabilities. And none of that could have happened without the full support of the town council, town manager, and of course, all the town staff that are the ones who actually do all the work. So thank you for that. We are very hopeful that whatever the new town council looks like, we will continue to be able to work together and see the same bipartisan support and efforts towards making Tolland a more accessible and inclusive community for everyone. And on behalf of our commission, we wish all of those who are not running again the best of everything, and thank you so much for your service. And for those of you running, we wish you all the best of luck. Thank you so very much. Is this with someone or?
Yes, yeah. So,
Thank you.
let's get Mike some. Okay, I'll go online. I'll go back to the room. Yes?
296 Michael Road. Like others, I'll chime in. I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to every one of you who volunteered these past couple of years. I know, having sat there eons ago, I think that's where I lost my hair. You're well underway, some of you. And I don't get it, but some of you actually decided to throw your name in the hat again. Do it again. So thank you. I would like to talk a little bit in the next minute and 45 about the email that I sent you about the notion of reestablishing something called community conversations. This was something that was done a couple of decades ago, initiated by then town manager Steve Worden. And I think it probably came out of a lot of frustration with the budget process principally. And for some of you, if you win, although I put that in air quotes, if you win, your next meeting, you're going to start talking about the budget. And I think Steve Werdner, in his characterizing this as kind of a repeat Groundhog Day, he said something about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. So in 2007, he kicked off this idea to, you know what, let's take a lot of this off the table because let's face it, you guys spend 6 months of the year talking about a budget and little else. It's the structure. They're already kind of hamstrung to talk about pebbles and sand when we're missing the boulders of a conversation. So those boulders might be, and in that email I sent to you, 4 things. First is it's time to start talking about regionalization of our high school. Second thing to talk about is we spent $3.5 million on that yellow limousine that takes our kids to school, but only 1/3 of them use it. That's 8% of the Board of Ed budget spent on not education. The third thing I'd like to talk about is pedestrian safety in town. Given the stats in the state, we would anticipate 1 fatality every 3 years in Tolland. We had a near fatality 3 years ago, so we're due. And then the fourth thing I'd like to talk about is our trash pickup. I think it's time to start talking about pay as you throw. In a 3-minute discussion, I'll expound a little bit more about why those are so near and dear to me and why I think they should be near and dear to the next council.
I'll go online. Go back to the room. I'll go back online again. Go back to the room one more time.
Good evening, Dennis Deegan, 689 Tolland State Road. A couple things. I understand at the last meeting there was further discussion after I left, unfortunately, about speeding in this town and possibly means to resolve those issues. And I know something I was looking into, and I haven't mentioned it yet, was cameras that some towns have put in play. I know putting signs up and illuminated signs that tell people their speed are thought, I guess, to possibly help. However, they don't seem to be working, at least the one heading into the green. Towards that, I guess, I hope whoever wins in the next election here will do their best to abide by the speed limit. Some member of this council about 2 weeks ago going 47 miles an hour at about 9 o'clock at night into the Tolland Green. So I'll just leave it at that. So I think something would be great to resolve those issues. The comment about the schools and the budget and that sort of thing, I also hope that whoever wins in the next election, that if they send their children out of school, out of town, to high school, to private schools, that they don't get to vote on the school budget. I think that's totally inappropriate. Finally, I spent some time scouring the town charter, and nowhere in there do I see that the public is supposed to be ignored when they come to these meetings. So coming to the next council, whoever is on that, I'm going to be looking to work with individuals to get the council to change and take a different approach to responding to people when they come up here and provide input to you. Okay, I think that's very, very critical. I've only been involved in a couple of other towns before here, and nowhere have I lived where people get up here, say something, everyone looks at you, some smile, some frown, and basically that's kind of the end of it, it dies. So I think that's totally inappropriate. And I think since we the people have the right to hear what you people think about what we have to offer, we should. All right, thank you very much. Thanks for the courtesy tonight, with extra time for everyone, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go online. Go back to the room. Back online. Go to the room one more time. Go back online one more time. Seeing none, we will move on from public participation and go to our first public hearing item of the night. Consideration of a proposed revision to Article 6 of the Town Code Ordinance number 60, Local Tax Relief Program for Permanently Disabled and Senior Residents. So we already had our discussion. I don't know Mike or Yolita, if you want any,
You've already discussed this. Jason's also on the line too, so
Yeah.
if you have any questions, you can answer those too.
does council want to discuss it all, or I think we can open it up and then have our discussion after the public. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing on item 6.1. So second. All right, any discussion? Council Buckler,
Aye.
Council Noonan, aye. Council Graney, aye. Council Rain,
Aye.
Council Beebe,
Aye.
Council Shay.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye as well, so the public hearing is open. There is no time limit for this item, but comments must be germane to ordinance 60 and proposed revisions. So I'll go to the room first. Is there any comment? Go online. I don't see anyone online, so I'll go to Mr. Rubino.
Is there a proposal? Did the council finally reach a proposal to modify the benefit? And if so, could you restate that for the room?
Yes, let me make sure I have it.
Can you put that, can you get that up on the screen? If possible.
Yeah, on page 5 of the.
Yeah, it's on page 5 currently.
The package is down there now.
Yeah, if I can read it out loud, in the interest of time. So the proposed changes are increase the initial benefit amount to $600, establish an income cap of $10,000 above the median household low income level for Hartford County, cap the total benefit at 75% of the eligible tax amount, and then remove the lien requirement associated with the program.
Was there an annual increase? I'm sorry.
There will not.
It stays.
Yeah, there's no change to the annual increases.
So you're leaving the annual increase the same? Okay, 600 plus annual increase. All right, a couple of thoughts. First, I'm gonna say that I'm a senior. And I'm very much in favor of this. Not that I'll ever qualify. I'm fortunate enough to be the beneficiary of a great public education and great job. And fortune of life found me that I didn't fall into this bottom third of the seniors that we've been talking about, the bottom third of income. And I think that's something that's kind of lost many times in this discussion because we tend to make it about ourselves. We tend to think about, I'm soon to retire and I'm paying $10,000 a year in property tax. How am I going to do with it? But the reality is we're talking about the bottom third, and of that group, their average tax is $4,000. These people are living in modest homes. That's not to say that they don't feel the same inflationary pressure that the rest of us do. But put it in the context of what that kind of benefit is. $600 plus, give or take $100 for every year that you participate. The average tenure of this program to date has been 10 years. So for the average person after 10 years, they will receive $1,600 towards a $4,000 tax liability. Could we do more? Possibly. But I think 22 plus years ago, when this program was put in place, people were worried about if we were over generous, ultimately would we bankrupt the program? Those people who had been on it and maybe depended on it for 10 years suddenly would find themselves in the lurch. So there's always this balancing. It's balancing of I want to be as generous as I can. That's your role. Balanced with there are a lot of struggling families who are working, who are not seniors. Because at the end of the day, this benefit comes off of the taxes that they would otherwise pay that somebody else has to pick up. Those struggling working families. Balance. 2 years ago, I worked with Jason Lawrence to try and make the program a little more aligned to the needs of today. For about 10, 15 years, it had been a tax freeze, but real estate didn't move. It was flat. In fact, in some cases, it was going down. So from the perspective of a benefit, tax freeze for a flat real estate market was no benefit at all. Plus, it had huge admin overhead. Jason and his team spent inordinate number of hours trying to manage the benefit for these 200 families. In fact, it was only 158. We had targeted 300 people that could benefit from this, but only half of them did. So 2 years ago, we decided we'll make it a defined benefit. And what you're proposing to do is at the get-go, increase that to $600. I thought about that a little bit. If memory serves, when we looked at this, a little fun fact, half of the people that retire, half of them in 10 years chew through their retirement nest egg. And they find themselves essentially living at a level of, at a poverty level. I mean, let's face it, you're not going to live on Social Security. Half of the people in this town, 10 years into the program, have no savings. So let's think about that. You retire at 65, at 75, you have no nest other than maybe your home. So now you participate in the program. And if it were just a tax freeze, then it really is no benefit. So by increasing it to $600, you're getting kind of a jump start when you need it most. So I applaud the intent to increase the benefit with an eye towards not bankrupting the program. Baby steps. We can revisit this maybe next year, the year after, because we need more participation. Still a head scratch as to why only half of the people that could participate are participating. So, thank you.
Let's go online, but I can't tell. If there's any public online that would like to speak? Not seeing any, I'll go back to the room.
Yes, Dennis Stevens, 689 Tolland Stage Road. One, I guess, comment about this, and I don't know that it offers any possibility or insight for what you're voting on tonight, and certainly what you've come up with is an improvement to what's in play. My only thought between listening to the last meeting and this meeting is that, and from hearing from various folks that come here or talk online, is that I think more needs to be done for individuals that are really in need, put it that way, I guess, in terms of having income well below the 90,000 or whatever that new benchmark is, all right? I happen to think that someone is, if they're making that, they should be able to figure out how to pay taxes if they want to live in anywhere, quite honestly, or they live somewhere else, from my perspective. So I think maybe going forward another year, give thought to, and I think it's good the way it is because not everyone wants to show their tax return, but maybe one alternative is to allow individuals that have under a certain income, some lower amount, well below 90,000, that if in fact they can prove that their income is at a low level, that then they should be given something well and beyond whatever's being done right now. That's just my personal view. And I think that will have a couple of effects. It might also help with budget time in helping to fund the schools with people who want to see the schools elevate or be at least at par with what's going on in the world. So if something along those lines, again, maybe going forward. The only other thought I have is that I don't know whether or not, and again, whether you want to make it based on income, is that you could make that change to $600 retroactive to whatever date the person entered the program, okay? I just think, again, for individuals who are really hurting, and there are people who are really hurting in this town as well as everywhere, that more can be done for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna go back online. I'm gonna go back to the room. Yes.
Hi, George Eldridge, Fishing Game Road. I totally agree with the jumping up at 600 and 100 is only a start. A lot of people can use a lot more than that. The good thing with that is if we visit in a year or two, we have more input to see how this is affecting. But as of right now, we're not even coming close to the what's it, 25%. So if that's the case, I don't think it's gonna bankrupt us. I don't see even how that word applies because no matter what, unless we change the ruling, that number always stays there. People might get less, but they won't get bankrupt. Nobody will go from 600 back down to 0. They might go from 600 to 550 or 500, but whatever. And with the budget always going up, there's always more money in that fund every year. So it's gonna be harder to get to that 0.5%. So I agree totally. And I'd like to see it much higher. And I understand it is retro to everybody that's been in the program. But a lot of those people are gonna be leaving. It's just a fact of life. Only so many people get to collect. I just hope eventually it gets to the point where I could join also, but most of my friends and acquaintances all fall or in that area where they don't qualify. And only one and one other family, and you need to get it out also so people understand it more. Well, they say, when I have my taxes done, I'm gonna have my accountant look into it. I try to explain to them, that's your income tax, your state tax. It's not the money coming out of your town tax. You gotta apply to the town. So we need to get that out so that people understand that my accountant's not gonna help me. She said, well, I only got $250. That's all I ever get. And I said, that's the state money coming off. And another very close person was saying, yeah, but I've been stuck at $300 since I joined. And I said, you only joined last year? She said, no, when my husband passed. And I said, well, that was quite a few years ago. So I said, have you looked at your bill and actually read it? So because she just paid in July, she was able to pull it out and look at it. And she goes, oh my goodness, I'm getting $1,300 off. And I'm getting $250. So I said, yeah, you're getting $1,550, but they're different things. And this is how this all works out. So we need to somehow make it more aware to people about what's really happening and how, and a lot of people, they say, I don't want to bother with all that stuff for $300. So I think at least the 600 is going to pull more people out and say, oh my goodness, yeah, this is worth my time and cheering, because quite honestly, I don't think the town really cares about how much money you make or don't make. It's not their business. They don't care. So you're just showing whoever you got to show and let people know who they have to go to see, what department and stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go back online. Go back to the room. Go back online. We'll go back to the room one more time. Go back online one more time. All right, seeing no more comment, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Moved by Councilor Butler, is there a second? Second. Good, thank you, Councilor Green. Any discussion? Councilor Butler?
Aye.
Councilor Noonan?
Aye.
Councilor Graney? Aye. Councilor Moran?
Aye.
Councilor Beebe?
Hi.
Counselor Shay?
Excuse me, are we just voting to close out the public?
Correct.
Yeah, I,
Have an eye as well. Okay, so we close the public hearing. I believe we discussed the actual proposed ordinance changes. So I'll open it up to council's opinion up on the proposed revisions as advertised in the public hearing.
Can I just clarify?
Yeah.
I want to make sure we clarify. So I know our intent was to make the additional 600 retroactive. Am I correct in that? That's not shown here. Does that mean that we would need to do something else to include that, or is that understood? And maybe that's a question for Jason.
Yeah, maybe Jason, can you clarify?
Sure. Yeah, that's the way it's been done for years, and that's what we intend to continue to do. So if you were in for 25 years, you look at that spreadsheet, you'll see that those numbers are cumulative. So they're adding up over time. So we specifically designed it that way previously to try to mimic the benefit folks were getting that had been in for 20 years. And I think that's kind of where that 300 came from initially, was to try to do more and be above what people are already getting. And when we revised it in 23, that allowed us to only have, I think it was about 8 people that were underserved by going with that math. And then we just grandfathered them in at their old number until they eclipse it.
So the people, if we change this to 600, to George's point, the additional 300 would be retroactively applied.
Right.
Here.
And thank you. And then the income cap about 10,000 above the median household low income level. That's going to change every year, right? You're going to have to look at that every year as that is modified, correct?
Yeah, that's normally what we do. We wait for Bev provides that number for us. We double check it, but I changed it to 10,000 above the median income, because if we set it at 90,050, it would always be 90,050. So that's why it's,
to George's point again, so that it resets itself every year. Okay, thank you.
correct.
Is there all your questions, Counselor Beatty?
That's good for now. Yeah.
I'll go to Counselor Shay online.
sure. Quick question, Jason. I believe Bob had indicated about the average tax bill for people on this program. I thought that your analysis that you did the last meeting had that number, and then also the net benefit. Could you provide that to us again? Because I thought it was higher than, I think Bob had indicated about 4,000. I thought it was over 5,000, correct? And then they get about an $1,100 on average. The people in this program get about an $1,100 benefit.
Yeah, that's correct. On the top of that calculation sheet that we gave you in the Excel, the average tax is $5,500 roughly going in. The average benefit is $1,150 or $1,141 exactly.
Okay. Right.
There's also an average state benefit of $343, and the average tax bill net is $39.96.
Okay, so it's the net. It's after all the reductions that they're about $4,000.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Counselor Shay? Any other questions, comments from counselors? Yes, Counselor Moran.
I just want to thank Bob Rubino for the time he put in. Obviously, initially when this program was developed, and obviously for coming in the last few meetings to give us some perspective on things. I do appreciate that. And I'll also just echo some things we've heard tonight and previous nights, that I obviously want to provide as much relief as we can to those who need it in town. And so I think doubling the start from 300 to 600 is a great way to begin that. I think it's a prudent way to start. I absolutely support sort of revisiting this to make sure that we're both making sure that the program is, fiscally responsible for the town, but is also responsive to the needs of our residents. So I think, I definitely support that, and I support, revisiting it periodically as well.
Thank you. Great. Any last comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the changes to ordinance 60 as outlined in the packet. So moved. Moved by Councilor Graney, is there a second?
Second.
Councilor Reed gets slightly faster.
Oh, no, if you want, is it Alex?
Yeah.
It was Alex.
Oh, it was? Okay.
It was
You're-
Alex.
You're running again, right? All right, I gotta make it for the record. I'll go to you, Councilor Noonan, as your, that's already good. All right, any final discussion? All right, go around, Councilor Beebe,
Aye.
or, according to you,
You're right, which one I knew.
reverse. You guys are good though. Councilor Rand,
Aye.
Councilor Graney, aye. Councilor Noonan.
Aye.
Councilor Beebe, and Councilor.
Hi.
You can't have two of the last name.
Yeah. It's just too much for me, sorry. Councilor Shay,
Nay.
I'm an aye as well, so that motion is adopted 6-1. Right. Now we're gonna move to our second public hearing item of the night. Item 6.2, consideration of a resolution to authorize the town manager to finalize the sale of the town-owned parcel at Laurel Ridge Road to Brian and Jennifer Zabrowski of 81 Mahler Road for $6,000. So I will entertain a motion to open that public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Beebe,
Second.
Councilor Buckler. Any discussion on opening the public hearing? Councilor Buckler,
Aye.
Councilor Noonan. Aye. Councilor Graney. Aye. Councilor Moran. Aye. Councilor Beebe.
Aye.
Councilor Shay.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, so the public hearing is open. Public's welcome to make comments germane to this item with no time limit. I'll go to the room first. Go online. I'll go to the room one more time. Go online one more time. Seeing no public comment, I'll entertain a motion to close out the public hearing. So moved by Councilor Graney, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Buckler, any discussion? All right, Councilor Buckler,
Aye.
Councilor Noonan. Aye. Councilor Graney. Aye. Councilor Moran.
Aye.
Councilor Beebe.
Aye.
Councilor Shay.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, so that the public hearing is closed. Any final discussion or questions before we vote on the second public hearing item?
I think the only thing that we had discussed, and I'm not I believe Jason Lawrence was present, that when these types of sales go through, that the purchasers be advised that they should combine the property with their current property to avoid a potential adverse tax situation. I think Councilor Graney brought that up last time.
I
So
remember that, yeah.
yeah, just want to make sure that that's something that, is that something that typically, that they have to initiate, Jason, or is that something that typically gets coordinated by the town when this happens?
The deed would have to been filed by October 1. If it's not done by then they have to wait a year. But yeah, if they want to combine parcels, they first have to merge the two through a deed, and then we'll value them that way.
Okay.
I think in this case, that lot was just excess land anyway, so it would value very similar to the excess land that they have already. But I'm not sure how big their initial lot is. So up to the first 2 acres would be the building lot, and anything after that would be the excess land. So it kind of depends on how much their initial property, how much land their initial property has.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments? Say glad that we're making progress on this initiative. It's very exciting to see. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the resolution in item 6.2. So moved by Councilor Green, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Beebe. Any discussion? Councilor Buckler.
Aye.
Councilor Noonan. Aye. Councilor Green.
Aye.
Councilor Moran.
Aye.
Councilor Beebe.
Aye.
Councilor Shay.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, so that resolution is adopted. Okay, reports of boards and committees responsible to council. So the firehouse subcommittee did meet. We can go now. See what we have. Updates on that one. The bids are open. I believe we've received a few already, but there's due at 10:30. So hoping we can get the roofing done, but
Yep.
we'll see if that actually happens before the end of the year. Additionally, we discussed the driveway issue on Station 340 and potential solutions to that. General committee feeling was that we will work to pursue just a repaving and leveling that of the driveway rather than a trench drain, which introduces its own set of problems that might have to be addressed down the road. And then we review the roles and responsibilities document. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's good. The, just the design on 140 and 440 continue, so
Yeah,
for the masonry and the other, but yeah, we should be hopefully opening some bids at the end of the week.
exciting. See that one hopefully move through quickly. Mike, do you have any updates from EHHD, Prague?
I don't know.
Okay. And I saw you sent a report on contaminated well activity and council leadership. Looks like things continue to go. Anything you want to add to that?
No, things are moving along. Again, we're working with the state and EHD to move forward as quickly as we can in certain areas, particularly the vineyards now is one area that they're focusing on. So hopefully that can continue to move.
Definitely think something like in addition to sidewalks to do for the new council to get probably an executive session on that topic.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll definitely have to bring the new council up to speed on a lot of things.
Okay, I think that was all the boards and committees, so I'll go to liaison reports. Councilor Buckler stepped out, Councilor Noonan.
Yeah, just quickly for Tolland Conservation again, just probably a change in who to contact if you're interested in the Nip It in the Bud program. This was something I had talked about on a previous council meeting. But this is essentially for us as a town to pick up nip bottles that we see on our paths and trails and get a reward for it. So 50 nip bottles is a $10 gift card, and 100 nip bottles is a $20 gift card. As far as a point of contact at this point, it's been noted online to contact a town council member. I'd probably persuade people at this point just to reach out to the email that's there, which is conservation@tollandct.gov, or even probably Brian, if you guys have any questions or want to figure out a way to receive a paper collection bag. And then just as a reminder, this will be going on, so the bottles will be collected during the TCC bottle drives. The first collection is scheduled in the spring of 26. So I think it's a great thing. Yeah, town does that and get a reward from it too. So I already know that there's been quite a bit down. So yeah,
Awesome.
excellent. They're not hard to find on some.
No.
Yeah. I'll go back to Councilor Buckler.
I have nothing. Easy.
Councilor Green.
Nothing, the rec advisory board meets next week, I believe.
Okay.
I'll be attending that.
Councilor Murray.
Yeah, so the Commission on People with Disabilities met, they discussed the basketball courts at Crandall will have ADA accessible entrance to the parking lot. They talked a little bit about their newsletter that Susan Lucas mentioned. They also talked about that they attended Harvest Fest, had a lot of positive interactions with folks. Sort of was just kind of a wrap up with that. And then the Historic District Commission also met. They approved a certificate of appropriateness for one of the houses on the green that's doing just some maintenance type things to their house. So I think that is, there's some correspondence, but that's about it.
Thank you. Councilor Biddy?
Planning and zoning met last night, did a really good job actually, of going through the regulations from tip to tail. To, sort of modify the language that, they felt would be problematic, based on, Dave Corcoran's, review and his input, from current case law and current planning. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. That would get us into trouble for being too arbitrary. So a few comments were made. The cleanup was, they spent quite a number of meetings kind of going through this and being thorough. So at the end, I think they've done a really good job and it passed easily.
Very good here, thank you. Councilor Shay?
Yeah, nothing to report. The Water Commission canceled their meeting, their last meeting, and the Agriculture Commission hasn't met since last time.
For myself, the Water Pollution Control Authority had their quarterly meeting, which I attended. Not a whole lot to report. 2 new members were officially welcomed to that committee, which is good to see. They have a more regular forum to conduct their business. And then they just discuss updates on repairs that have been made to different parts of the sewer system. So they meet again in another 3 months. That's great. Now we'll go down to new business. We moved item 8.3 up, so I will turn it over to Dr. Willett and Vice Chair Gallatin for an update or for an overview of this item.
Thank you. The Tolland Administrative Society is the administrators union for the Tolland Public Schools. We go into contract negotiations with them. Typically, it's on a 3-year cycle. The state of Connecticut mandates the timelines. So they give us the timeline that it must begin and when it must end, as well as any timelines for mediation and arbitration and so on. So we began our negotiations a few months ago and completed them fairly recently. The contract that was achieved by the negotiating committee was a fair one for the administrators and a good one for the town. Over the span of negotiation period, there are about 38 different districts negotiating, and the average settlements for those districts was a 9.92%. The settlement for the district for Tolland and the Tolland Administrative Society was 9.49%. The Tolland Administrative Society has among one of the highest percentages share of their health insurance. They'll finish the contract at 21%. To give you an example, the teachers are starting at 18, but the admin started higher than they did. Probably will end higher, but at this point, they set a standard that we can utilize in forward negotiations with other negotiating units. So they have a competitive but high for our district of 21% of their insurance. They have 9.49 over 3 years of an increase, as opposed to the 9.92 average from the 38 districts currently or at the same time negotiating. And we were able to also clean up a lot of language with respect to insurance, bereavement leave, and other things that just needed some adjustments. So long and short of it, it's a well negotiated contract, fair for the administrators, good for the town, good for the district, maintains the wisdom and experience of our people, also puts into effect a salary schedule, the steps that was an advancement in this contract so that things were very predictable and transparent within the contract itself. So I'll just stop there.
Thank you. Any questions from counselors on the proposed collective bargaining agreement? I'll just note that the specific language here is a resolution not to reject the collective bargaining agreement. So, how we did this, maybe we will vote aye and nay, but like the aye is to not reject, to be clear, because that's what the resolution says.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt the resolution to not reject the collective bargaining agreement between the Tolland Board of Education and the Tolland Administrative Society for the period July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. So moved by Councilor Graney. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Buckler. Any final discussion?
Just want to thank Dr. Willett, sorry, and Board of Ed Vice Chair Dalshank for coming in and also for speaking with us in executive session, and for reaching a good result in this.
Thank you. Sorry that we didn't get to you till now we're into the meeting. Tried to be fast, but it wasn't a fast one. All right, I'll go around. Councilor Buckler.
Aye.
Councilor Noonan. Aye. Councilor Graney. Aye. Councilor Moran. Aye. Councilor Beebe.
Aye.
Councilor Shay.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, so that resolution is adopted. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go back to the regular order of things, which was item A1, now it's item A2, the economic development plan. So turn it over to Dave Corcoran and Rita Zangari to present to us on that.
Great, so I'll turn it over to Rita here in a second. So big thanks to Rita, she did a lot of the work on this on behalf of the Economic Development Commission. The goal of this plan was to come up with a reasonably concise document that identifies practical strategies that we can implement to further our economic development footprint that don't require a whole lot of external resources or money or things like that in order to complete. From my perspective, some of the highlights of this plan, we went through a variety of different business types to identify, at least from the EDC's perspective, what we consider to be some of the higher value businesses, some of the lower value businesses in terms of the tax revenue that they'll generate, and also in terms of sort of their desirability to have in town. There are things in terms of retail establishments that maybe, they're not going to generate a ton of tax revenue, but maybe enhance the quality of life in town. So we should be targeting those anyway. There's harder stuff that provides a good tax value to the town. We went through and compared our mill rate and finances with similar towns to the state, as identified by our school district cohort. That seemed to be the best comparison tool to use to identify similar sorts of towns through the state to Tolland. And then there's a lot of strategies, and I'm sure Rita, if you want to talk about those or get into those, or if we just want to answer any questions.
I think I'd just like to answer any questions. David has described the plan well. The strategies are fairly traditional for economic development, so I don't think I can add a lot. I mean, one thing we do say is like putting the council chair and the town manager out front to businesses after they've been kind of vetted by David first, to make sure we're not wasting your time and it's something that's desirable to the town, but as a form of marketing, that's what's done on the state level, using leadership, and that's what we suggest doing here. Other than that, most of the strategies are pretty simple. But I wanted to answer, the Planning and Zoning Commission went through this, asked lots of, first meeting, not so many questions, second meeting, lots of questions. So I wanted to come in case the council had questions.
Councilor Noonan, do you have a question? So are you guys able to talk about the ESRI data?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that at a high level. So basically, ESRI or ESRI, depending on what generation you're from, how you name the company. They're the major geographic information system provider in the world. They create ArcMap, ArcGIS. A lot of online mapping that you use comes from ESRI, and as they've grown, they've started accumulating a whole lot of data on their own. Initially built off census data, but often sometimes with some of their own. So what they've done is sort of broken different census tracts, which are smaller than the whole town, but not down to individual streets and things like that, they probably have 50 different types of categories. And for Tolland, we largely break into a few different ones, which generally suggest that we're, as we know, we're higher income relative to the rest of the world. We have a decent amount of disposable income, but we're not so wealthy that, you know, we aren't doing things ourselves. We're not buying Rolls Royces. We're buying family type cars. We're doing work on our own. We're looking for value where we can get it. I think things that all seem pretty intuitive to you all as residents of Tolland. And so that data sort of informed, and I guess kind of confirmed our suspicions on, what kind of businesses we would be looking for as a town.
Yeah, I was reading, Tolland's residents into a market segment called the savvy suburbanite. With listed, 1 out of 7, just read them because I think they're interesting. Residents prefer late model, family-oriented vehicles, SUV, minivans, and station wagons. Gardening and home remodeling are priorities, usually DIY. Riding mowers and power tools are popular, although they also hire contractors for heavy lifting. There's extensive use of housekeeping and personal care services. Foodies, they like to cook and prefer natural or organic products. We're investors, financially active, physically fit. Residents actively pursue a number of sports, from skiing to golf, and heavily invested in sports here and exercise equipment. So what I think about that comes to mind is, a trip that I take frequently, which is a good 35 minutes away, which is to Cabela's Sports.
Gotcha.
I think about what the aforementioned kind of just went through there of residents that could use hunting gear, hiking gear, clothing. But I try to look more outside the box of how can we encapsulate these towns that are kind of in the middle here of no man's land, Union being one of them, one of the, smallest populated towns in Massachusetts, and, all of the in between. I think our option is, do we go up to Sturbridge or do we go closer to Hartford? I think the more prudent question is, does it always come down to, would residents want that size of a store or that large of a store in town? Because it always comes to, do we want to keep our town quaint and country and rural how it's been, or do we want to drive 45 minutes to a store? So I feel like that's kind of, do you have an answer to that question, or do you have an idea of what normally is the?
Yeah, I mean, or maybe you want to.
I have some thoughts, but
Yeah,
you
okay.
go first.
It's frustrating, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of things working in our favor and a number of things that don't. In our favor, we're right off the freeway, so that makes us sort of a good location to be a magnet for the region. The downside is we don't have necessarily the population density to support, some of the really big box stuff, nor, I think to your point, the Planning and Zoning Commission, I think, has opened the faucet a bit for more retail that could be larger in size. I don't know off the top of my head. I think the general footprint of a Cabela's is getting to be probably bigger than the zoning regulations currently allow. And then the question would be, is that something that we would want to, modify down the line, or is that something that Tolland wants? As we go into our new POCD, Plan of Conservation and Development process, that's certainly a question we can ask and try to get an answer to from the public.
Yeah, because I just, as far as I'm looking at it, I go to East Hartford for usually 2 reasons: to see a UConn game at Rensselaer Stadium, or to go to Cabela's. So it's, in my head, it's what would folks be coming off of the exit for?
So my thoughts were that Tolland is a challenge in attracting any retail because of our location in the island between big retail centers, which you've pointed out, between Manchester, Vernon, and then up to Sturbridge. And so I don't see, even as you capture in some of the smaller towns, that the demand would be there, and companies like that, that's the first thing they're looking at. Second thing might be infrastructure costs, and Tolland's a tough place to build a site, building like that. So
just my experience, having worked in the field of economic development for many, many years is that would be that size structure, especially retail, would be very hard.
How about smaller gyms like we've had previously,
Oh,
like where
that's-
the IGA was?
That would be, actually, I noticed recently Ellington has 3 small gyms.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of activity we should be pursuing. So we should be sending letters, and we do this periodically. Search out who runs those gyms and let's send letters to them and invite them to come see this site.
Yeah, I figured I'd hit you guys with the big questions first and then the more reasonable one.
Yeah.
For us in Tolland, I know that we have, I call them boutique gyms, but not everybody can afford a $225 monthly CrossFit membership. We used to have just a simple, $10 a month gym that was friendly to seniors and everybody in between, right in the center. So that's always usually my first question.
Quality of life businesses like that would be good to target for the retail spots that we have now, and then if there were future development.
Thank you.
Any other councilors with questions? Councilor Moran?
I just want to say first, I think, I like the idea of like, to the extent that the EDC or whoever, like reaching out to, business owners, trying to do whatever we can to generate the types of businesses that, might find the Tolland attractive and the types of businesses Tolland residents might want to have. I think that's obviously, any way we can try to increase that tax base is obviously helpful to residents. I also just want to thank you, Rita, and the Economic Development Commission. Obviously, you're all volunteers, and I know it takes a lot of work, and this is an excellent plan. Thank you so much for all the time and effort you put in for volunteering for the town.
So I know, thank you both for the work that's gone into this. Having been on the other side of this, I know it took quite a while to get it together. And I know there's been a lot of discussion, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did make some changes to what we used to call the campus technology zone. And that was conceived of in one light back when UConn was first building out its own, technology park. And I know, Rita, you had some comments about that, not to necessarily focus only on that, but to not give up on it. Just for the benefit of the people in this commission, can you kind of further expand upon your thoughts for that area? Because it's challenging, but yeah, I think we want to be careful not to walk away from it.
Right, so I use as an example Yale, which started Science Park and 300 George Street, some of the biotech companies that spun out of Yale. That started when I started my career in economic development in the 80s.
wow.
And it's now successful. Now, New Haven is on the map. That's how long it takes for university startups to become something. And so UConn's research has been increasing dramatically over the past 10 years, if you look at the numbers. And they do have startups. Lots of them are engineering related, so they haven't, they don't necessarily burst into big buildings, but I think that they will come, and I don't think we should give up on it, just like the housing that's, going up all around stores because the students have increased. The spin outs are gonna increase too, and UConn doesn't have the space on campus for them. Their incubator's always full. And so, I think that, we should continue to think about them as we plan, but don't bang. It was premature to simply set aside a parcel for that. So it was a good thing to change that, but you're right, don't give up on it.
So do we have any type of outreach to the people at UConn and then those incubators to say, hey, should you want to, we might have a spot for you?
Yeah, we actually met with the incubator manager last year.
Okay.
And there's a new one, so I haven't told David that. I was the incubator manager at UConn for a bit, so I stay in touch with them, and there's a new one, and we'll meet with him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, a large part of what we're sort of needing in Tolland is a space for them to go into, right? Which is to say, we have, if you're a startup that's looking to grow, you're not necessarily going to buy a lot in the TCZ and put millions of dollars into developing and building. And so some of it's finding the vacant spots we have in town and making sure that we can link whoever that is with what those are. And that's perpetually the challenge. So
thank you.
Yep, Counselor.
Just out of curiosity, I had heard that the bank adjacent to Fieldstone Commons was gonna end up being a car wash. And then furthermore, you know, it seemed like Starbucks was starting and then now has stopped. So are those things continuing or those kind of dissipated?
So, yeah, so there's a couple, so Starbucks, if you've followed the news lately, Starbucks has a new CEO. They're completely modifying their entire corporate strategy and they have back out of Tolland for now,
Okay.
along with their Connecticut expansion, and they're closing thousands of stores nationwide as they sort of pivot their strategy. So, you know, with any luck, they'll come back once the dust is settled, but we'll see. The bank across the street is currently, it's received site plan approval to be expanded, and Dr. Pelosi's eye care office is actually gonna move into there. He's by the spot right now in that shopping
Really?
center. So he's gonna add onto that building and move his practice into there. There is a car wash approval across the street. It is still active. I don't have an update as to where they are
You want me to
in
answer
their
that
process.
question?
Do you have an update? Okay.
They don't own the property yet.
Okay.
I do.
And then just while we're here, what used to be the New York Deli and then the BP that's on the corner.
So the BP has a approval to knock that down and build a new gas station with a drive-through. They haven't moved forward on that approval. They've got probably 3 more years, but they need to get it done. It's a company out of Branford that owns several gas stations throughout the state that has that approval. They still own the site. I don't know
Really?
where we are in terms of their plans for development. And the New York Deli has gone under, but there is, I don't know if it's public who the new tenant is, but there is a new tenant who I think will all be pleased to hear who that is. So
When will we find out?
I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. So I've got a couple comments. Overall, I think it's a pretty good plan and, yeah, I've gotten to work with the commission as a liaison a little bit, so it's cool to finally see it. We brought to the council, and I think it's good. I just had a couple of thoughts, on it. So one was, you know, just up in terms of incentives, up in the matrix that was put together here. I think I generally agree with them. I think the only thing I would say is, you know, if you have a proposal or a request for a tax abatement, I think regardless of the business, it's good to look at it and just see if the math makes sense, whether it's something that's looked upon as low value or high value. Certainly I would never suggest like subsidizing a business at a loss. I think that's not prudent, but you know, if it's even modestly beneficial and it's it improves quality of life, I think it's at least something worth considering. But I think that the ordinance kind of captures that. And then the only thought I kind of have, you know, just because this is our last meeting of the term, you know, I think for those who are running again and get elected, I would certainly encourage you to maybe an additional time and maybe chew on this a little bit more. I think it would be great to see the town council adopt like an economic development plan based off of this. And then I think the next step is there's a ton of goals in here and I think they're great. I won't necessarily call them goals, but like strategies. It would be good for the planning and development staff and town manager staff to look at this and kind of figure out who owns which of these and work on implementing them. There's a lot of great ideas here, and I think that it'll go a long way towards promoting Tolland as a business-friendly town, and that's, you know, maybe so. Overall, a good job, but I think this shouldn't be the last meeting on this topic. I think there's work, you know, to really bring it to fruition. Yeah. Thank you.
I would love to see us go back to having at least a part-time economic development coordinator. Once a long time ago, we used to have that.
How long ago was that?
More than 20 years.
Long time. It was a very long time ago.
20 years maybe?
Yeah, we didn't have it when I here, I've been here 20 years, so.
Cause we had a volunteer in Bob Stewart that acted like one, but we did have.
Yeah,
Person,
but it was more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
then that mattered when we had that.
Probably we're only a 4-person group right now. When we were 6 people, we were doing more things like calling landlords, and we split up the list of property owners and did our own informal survey to see what what was causing vacancy rates and how they were attracting tenants, who was and who wasn't. But with 4 of us, we're lucky when we get a quorum, so.
Right.
If you have any, friends that wanna do this, I was gonna say, if
Have some
you,
free time.
it's only 1 hour a month, really. Our meetings are,
Yeah, it's
usually an hour and a half.
it's something I'm definitely interested in. I was raised here, moved away, and then came back. It's I've heard Tolland shoppers attributed to like vampire shoppers. We all work. I think there was a statistic in here how many of us work outside of the town. We're not here during the day. We have a heavy influx of soccer moms or soccer dads that bring kids to school and they're gone, and we'll shop now. But which to your point creates a very specific market. But one of the things that I know lots of I'm a father. Parents travel out of the town for are these, which are very popular, which we have the space for, are these kids clubs. There's one in Avon, there's one in there's a couple of them, but it's essentially bring your kids in, they play, it's a little coffee bar, and it's lucrative, and you could shut the lights off at 1. It's open for a short amount of time, but I'm sure you guys have lots of thoughts on what could come here and what would work, but yeah.
Okay, well,
Thank you guys.
love to sign you up when you're
Yeah,
doing
we'll
the
get
council.
In all the meetings I've been at, nobody ever yells at that non-development.
Right, that's right.
No, we're all very pleasant.
Anybody else with comments on this?
Thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now.
So that the jail should be a copy, and I didn't get yelled at.
It was underway.
Oh, yeah. I was yelled at, but
That was really good.
jailhouse stop me. I think it's cool.
Yeah, rooms with it.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to item 8.3, financial update for the period ending September 30th, 2025.
Great, good afternoon, everyone. So we finished the first quarter, and I have some numbers for you that they shared in the report. Looks the same as I shared in the prior few quarters. The highlights are, we are projecting budgetary fund balance increase of $182,000. Primarily is due to the tax sales that we held in August. That was a budgeted item. We knew about this happening, but it's always like variable. We don't know if the owners going to pay taxes and what's going to happen. So that's something we end up having putting in under property taxes, and we're showing this to be as a surplus. On our expenditures, we have a few departments that running less than the budgeted expenses. We have in emergency services, which is law enforcement, and we have planning and community development and public works, primarily due to some vacancies and attrition savings. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. This is just the first quarter, so we don't have much of data.
Just question you, Lita, do you want questions on everything in this item, or do you want to just stick with the budget? Because I know you also have like health insurance.
Yes, we're gonna move to the next one if you don't have any questions for that, or you want to just go through the, yeah.
Okay, we can, well, since you just said the strict budget report, I guess we can do it in chunks. So any questions on the first part of the financial report, the budget itself? I think I just had one if nobody does. So on page 27 of 72 on the packet, said on the expenditure side, estimated costs are projected to be lower than the revised budget by 71,000. Was that the money, that was potentially used for, the school resource officer, I think?
Yeah, I heard that conversation. That's what the, I think, plan,
Okay,
when you guys use it.
okay,
So there's some available money.
yeah. Yeah, from the law enforcement line.
Correct. Yes, correct.
That's all I had up on the actual budget. Anybody else? I don't know if Joe, I can't see Joe anymore.
Sorry.
So what, sorry, guys. Is this part of the packet that we have? Because I couldn't find it. Or is there a separate packet? What page is this on?
It's on
27.
27, okay, sorry. The pages go blank and then I have to wait for them to reset, okay. Is there any discussion about the surplus on the Board of Ed side in here?
No, there is nothing.
There's no surplus this year for coming towards the end of the year?
So, to be fair, this is the first quarter and we do, like, on the town side, we do project some surplus. We know actually it matured some expenses or some revenues. We do have conversations with Board of Education, CFO, and I have monthly meetings, and I had a recent meeting with the superintendent, and I kind of had a conversation about, can we have some kind of update if you guys projecting any surplus on a general fund related budget. So he will be happy to do some kind of more analysis. Usually we do find out at the end of like fiscal year if there's any
Right.
surplus.
Right, okay,
Their finance is handled, it's very, how would I say, convoluted. Because they post under general fund in units an hour and then we transfer funds, so it's really, it's become very convoluted for me to know anything. That's just, let me just say that.
okay. The other question was I asked Brian to look into this, and I don't know if he got an answer as to whether or not you can actually transfer funds from the town council to the Board of Ed without it going to vote to the town. Like the town would have to vote because the town already voted on a budget and they passed that budget and they voted on a certain amount for the town and a certain amount for the Board of Ed. And I believe he had to check with the attorney to verify whether or not that could be done without it going to vote.
Yeah, Joe, there was, we did get a legal opinion about that. I think you were copied on it, but I can forward the email to you, as well.
Yeah, if you could, Jacob. It may have been sent to me. I just don't know.
Yeah, this week ago.
I can't call it up right now. Well, what was the opinion?
Yeah, so the town has the authority pursuant to section 7-148 to provide for police protection. Further pursuant to Charter Section C3-5, the council, among other persons and boards, shall have the powers and duties respectively described for them by the general statutes and by this charter, which authority is reiterated in Charter Section C4-4. Under these sections, it is clear the council has the authority to hire a municipal employee to act as an SRO. So I think that the attorneys,
Yeah, we got that opinion quite a while ago. That's been in our inbox for a while, Joe.
yeah, I think the opinion is that the SRO remains a town employee.
Yeah.
Right.
Joe, are you asking relating to the SRO?
No, I'm asking for the transfer of funding from the town to the Board of Ed.
As
So
it
I know
relates-
that we obviously have the authority to hire police to provide protection and those sort of things. It's the question of transferring funding because the residents have already approved budgets.
So transfer, the funding wouldn't be transferred because they can't actually hire the SRO. The state law does not allow them to hire constables. So, this is a town employee. In previous iterations, it was a town employee and the Board of Ed would reimburse us. In this scenario, it's gonna be a town employee and we're gonna use town funds to pay for it. So there's no transfer involved because they can't actually hire someone. It has to be a town employee paid through the town's payroll. That makes
So
sense.
this employee then is not going to report to the Board of Ed. This employee will report directly to the town manager?
No, it's gonna report to the Board of Ed. Again, we have an agreement with the Board of Ed that stipulates how the SRO is gonna be dealt with. The only difference here is the funding. They hire the person, they manage the person, we just pay the person. In this scenario, it's gonna be a full-time employee, possibly. It's always been part-time, but so everything is basically done and it's controlled by the Board of Ed. It's just based on the state law. We can't hire, it has to be hired through the town. That's the agreement we have.
So can you see that part one more time about the reimbursement? Because the budget is obviously on the Board of Ed's budget, right? So is the Board of Ed previous, and we used to have an SRO. I forgot how many years ago. It wasn't too long ago. So we had an SRO that was on the Board of Ed's budget, but it was hired and paid for by the town, and then the Board of Ed reimbursed the town. The Board of Ed reimbursed the town.
Correct.
It's pre-COVID.
Yeah, we haven't had an SRO probably in 5 or 6 years at
Right.
the most.
Yeah, not too long.
Yeah, that's how it was done. The town hired them, hired him as a town employee. But any expenses related to that were reimbursed to the town. So
By the Board of Ed, okay. And the Board of Ed chose to take the money out of their budget for this position. And now the town's picking it up directly. Okay.
Any questions, Counselor Shay?
No, I think I understand.
Any other questions on the budget portion of the?
I just want to make a point about semantics. I really dislike this idea that we talk about the town being the municipal side and the Board of Ed being this other entity that then by comparison isn't the town. We're all the town. It's all the town. It's all of our money. One side is the municipal side that has its own budget. One side is the Board of Ed side that has its own budget. But it's all under the town umbrella. So when we are talking about reimburses us, we are talking about simply from one part of the town to another part of the same town. And I think it's really important that we recognize that, because when we refer to the municipal side as the town and the Board of Ed as not the town, it kind of drives a wedge there. And I think that's extremely counterproductive to what we're supposed to be doing moving forward. So I know it's hard because I do it too. And I'm not criticizing you, I'm not criticizing anybody else. I just want to kind of make the point moving forward. So thank you.
I guess if there's no other questions, we'll move to the next part of the report.
Sounds good. Chris, would you please take the YouTube? We have a-
As of September 30th, the each year cash balance was $2,686,385. And going forward, the IBNR and our risk corridor, the reserves, are $1,399,166. So for the first 3 months, first quarter, year-to-date net income is $195,830. And the projected cash balance for June 30th of 26 is $1,879,710. And that's after the reserves. Going forward, we have projected expenses of $6,417,438 and projected revenue of $7,146,528 So we have, gonna have a projected net income of $783,322. That includes the projected CD interest. But, I'd caution you, it's the first quarter, the first set of numbers, so it's, when it comes to these projections, 9 months is a long time.
Thank you. Any questions on the each portion of the report? Just clarifying questions, just make sure I understand it right. So based on today, you're projecting the cash balance will fall pretty significantly over the next, by the end of the fiscal year, is that?
Well, if things go unchanged, we'll, the net income will go up, so we'll have 783,000 on top of that, so.
Okay.
But of course, expect things to change.
Okay, so if I'm at so add the 1.874 to the 783 is kind of the forecast for today of where we'll be?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yep.
Okay, so then actually we're not that much different. Okay. Questions? Okay, I guess we'll move to the last part of the financial report, investments.
So for investments, pool investments, on September 30th, the general fund and other funds had a pooled investment total balance of $33,302,390. And out of that, just the general funds portion is $32,828,362. So for the first quarter, the general fund earned $282,658 in interest. And that's down $5,500 from $280,233, which is what the general fund earned in interest a year ago. So we're off just slightly from a year. We have experienced slight rate reductions, but they really haven't been as dramatic as what they could be. And from what I understand, they could still be slight reductions. Our high yielding accounts are averaging about 4.24% for return. That's down from 4.35% for the last quarter, but still a modest decrease. Our CDs are still earning well over 4%. They come down a little bit every time we renew, but not by a lot. Our highest performing accounts are still the STIF account, State of Connecticut Short-Term Investment Fund, and our FICA account, federally insured cash account. So our total balance of all cash for all funds is $42,773,513 as of September 30th. And the interest budgeted for this year, fiscal year 26, is $800,000. And given everything of what I know now, I still feel that is a reasonable budget for interest revenue.
Thank you. Any questions on the investment portion of the review? Good, thank you, appreciate it, and as always.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us to item 4, which I believe is the surplus. Consideration of a resolution to declare various equipment in disrepair as surplus or obsolete Board of Education. Pretty boilerplate item.
Yeah, they do this periodically to dispose of equipment, which they dispose of themselves. The town doesn't take it over, so it's standard.
Yeah. Any questions for councilors? And I'll entertain a motion to declare the equipment listed in item 8.4 as surplus and obsolete. So moved. Moved by Councilor Ray, is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Grady. Any discussion? Okay, Councilor Butler?
Aye.
Councilor Mooney? Aye. Councilor Grady? Aye. Councilor Ray? Aye. Councilor Beatty?
Aye.
Councilor Shay?
Aye.
And I as well. So that motion is adopted. Okay, item 8.5, appointments to vacancies on various municipal boards and commissions. Councilor Marie and Councilor Shade, you want to give us the rundown on this?
Sure, I'll do kind of what I did last time since there's a bunch again, trying to wrap up our term. We have an appointment to the Inland Wetlands Commission, 4 reappointments to the Inland Wetlands Commission, 2 reappointments to the Board of Assessment Appeals, 2 reappointments to the Library Advisory Board, and a reappointment to the Economic Development Commission. For the final time this term, thank you, Sarah Beth, for getting us through the last 2 years and keeping all of our commissions and boards as staffed as we can. And obviously, as I always say, I'm sure I speak for Joe as well, that we appreciate all the volunteers that do all the work on these commissions.
Anything at Councilor Shea?
Yeah, no, Chris said it well, and thanks very much, Sarah Beth. You do a great job keeping us updated on all this stuff.
You're welcome.
I'll entertain a motion to appoint the officials thus listed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Butler. Any discussion? Councilor Butler?
Aye.
Councilor Noonan? Aye. Councilor Greeny? Aye. Councilor Moran?
Aye.
Councilor Beebe?
Aye.
Councilor Shea?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. So appointed the officials in item 8.5. Okay, there's no old business. Brings us to the report of the town manager. Mike, anything to report for us?
No, I just want to, on behalf of Brian, obviously can't be here, and the staff, just want to thank all of you for your service over the last 2 years. I know it's not an easy thing to do, and it's definitely appreciated by staff and obviously all the residents. So good luck in the future.
Item 11 is adoption of the minutes, the October 14th regular minutes. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Butler, is there a second? Second. By Councilor Greeny. Any modifications to the minutes? Okay, Councilor Butler,
Aye.
Councilor Noonan.
Aye.
Councilor Greeny.
Aye.
Councilor Moran.
Aye.
Councilor Beebe. I'm an aye as well, so the minutes are adopted.
I'm an IJ. I'm an I, Jacob, just for the hell of it.
Yes, Councilor Shea is an aye. Okay. Correspondence to council. Correspondence.
Yep, we received an email from a resident discussing town open space and conservation efforts. An email from a resident discussing budget cost-cutting ideas for consideration during the budget season. A message from the Council on Foreign Relations regarding upcoming webinars, and an email from a resident with ideas for the bulky waste collection program.
Any questions? Right. Here's me my chairperson's report. So I do have a little something to say, as this will be my last meeting. So first of all, just off the bat, thank you to Mr. Rubino for sending in the email on Sunday with some cost-cutting measures. I think it'd be very good if the council, the Board of Ed looked into some of those ideas to reduce overhead expenses, especially in ways that don't impact social or student services at all. So I think that should be like definitely a bipartisan effort to look into. But anyway, let's get into it. So after 2 years, we're almost at the end of our final town council meeting. This will be my final town meeting after 7.5 years of appointed and elected service. I've had the honor to serve on the Water Pollution Control Authority, the Board of Education, and now the Town Council. It's been a special privilege to serve as the Town Council Chair for the past year. So thank you all for your support. It's been a real honor. And my time as chair has been especially nice thanks to our town staff. I want to give a special thank you to Brian, who is not here tonight. He's been a huge help. It's definitely made life in the council leadership a lot easier. A big thank you also to Yulita, who had a monumental lift coming into this budget season, did an excellent job and has continued to support us. And then I also want to shout out to you, Mike Wilkinson, for all the staff work you've done, especially on the contaminated wells and just a real mix of different responsibilities that you tackle. And then also finally to Megan Massa and Sarah Beth, who through their work on grants and project management, and then Sarah Beth, who just kind of keeps everything rolling and moving together. The town couldn't do what it does without all of you. So big thank you. Over the past couple of years, we've tackled numerous important issues and we've dealt with some difficult challenges. We've had important debates on public safety and economic development. We worked to reform the Historic District Commission and aid those dealing with contaminated wells. We deliberated on how best to spend our ARPA funds and other grant funds. And of course, we've dealt with two difficult budget cycles. The last one was particularly bad due to our evaluation, but we dealt with it as we must. That is our responsibility as counselors. Looking back, I'm most proud of accomplishments in three big areas. Number one is public safety. This is a fundamental responsibility for government. I'm glad that in the past 2 years, we brought Station 340 to completion and to serviceability. Even though we've had Fitch studies say, it's not necessarily a station we want to invest in as much, it's still important that it's back online and serving that part of the community. That is a big thing for public safety. I'm glad also that we did get that Fitch study completed. There were some good immediate recommendations we could take action on, which was good to see. I'm glad that we're starting to receive some actual crime data from the state police. I think that's an area that I hope the next council really expounds upon. And I'm glad that we've worked to get some home security to our schools. Not there yet, but I think we've made some good progress. Second is economic development. Tolland needs to be open for business if we want to thrive and keep our tax base low. I'm very proud I was able to work with Economic Development Commission and this council to reform our tax abatement ordinance. I think that's a big accomplishment. I think it'll take some time to go see the fruits of that, but hopefully that similar efforts can continue to help our town in that area. And then third is fiscal responsibility. I'm glad that we passed two important fund policies to ensure good management of our town funds. And additionally, although our budgets are always contentious debates, I'm glad, to have been an advocate for, protecting our unassigned fund balance. And then I'll also add that for this goal in particular, I'll be honest, I didn't always get what I wanted. Would have liked to go further, but once elections are over, it's really important to work with whomever the residents have chosen. And I want to thank the councilors on both sides of the aisle for recognizing that and compromising. I'm sure at the end of those budget discussions, nobody was coming out smiling, but that is a reality of working with a divided council. I'm glad we were able to get some budgets passed. What we wanted to do. So just to end, I'll give some parting thoughts to those who were elected on November 4th. To whoever has the privilege of serving the town over the next 2 years, remember that although your ideologies should guide your thinking, don't be blinded by them. Work with each other to solve the problems facing the town today. Don't put all your faith in the next election. The town can't wait for that to solve the problems it faces today. So that, like I said, is what we're called to do. We're called to work with who was elected, not who we wish we were elected to. Additionally, don't spend the time constantly revisiting the past decisions you opposed. Share that vision for the town that you want and argue for its adoption. Also, as we all know, sitting here, you're going to face intense criticism for your decisions. It's a cost of being in front of the public. Don't shy away from it and don't let it cloud your decision making. Of course, that advice is always easier said than done. Important thing is to really step back and think about what do you truly believe in and argue for that. Always carry yourself with dignity, both in and out of session. The town relies on your respectability more than you realize. People are watching you more than you realize. Don't let them lose faith in you over something that is within your own control. And finally, remember that public safety and fiscal responsibility are critically important issues that we must always seek to maintain and improve. These are core foundational pillars of what any good government is built upon, and nothing can be accomplished without those fundamentals. So with that, I wish our incumbents running again good luck, and then I hope that the next council has a very successful term. So thank you all. Now we'll turn it over to our council persons for the last communications and petitions of the term.
Well, I don't have anything as eloquent to say, and I've done, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Jacob and Alex for the last 2 years you've served on the council. Jacob, obviously, for the last 7.5 years, you've been serving the town of Tolland. I'm sure this won't be the last you serve the town, so we appreciate it. And Alex, feel free to apply for the economic development commission. I'm sure the next council would love to have you on there. But Jacob, thank you so much for all the leadership you've had in the past year as the chair of the council. Being on the council for anyone is definitely a lot of work. Being the chair is even more so. So really appreciate how much time you put into that, and I appreciate being working with me and being a good partner in that. I know, as you mentioned, there was some difficult budget year that we faced, but I was proud to work with you on that, and I appreciate all the work that you put into that. And Alex, thank you for all of your time on this council as well. I think I'll just say personally, you and I, we chatted often, and we didn't always agree, but I think we kept an open line, willing to hear each other out. And so I just think the town is better for the service that the two of you provided the last couple of years. And again, no, it's not easy. Not easy for anyone to serve on council, but really appreciate both of you. It's a lot of time to dedicate to the town, and sad to see you guys go, but appreciate the last 2 years that you both. So thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Same to you. Thanks. Definitely good having you as vice chair.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo, Councilor Moran's thoughts. I've often used the comparison of Theodore Roosevelt, who's a conservative, horseback riding, cowboy, and John Muir, who was a conservationist. Those two hated each other.
I was the cowboy.
Well, from the books that I've read and from what I've gathered, those two work together to give us our national parks in this country. And it's so easy to not work with each other or to cast aspersions given to a directed party. I mean, I won't lie to you, there's many times I've typed something in online on our discussion boards, and then I'm like, no, I can't say that. You certainly can, but I don't think it's to the benefit of the town. And being able to have communication with someone across the aisle, I think will serve you better than the opposite. The other quote I'd like to leave, incumbents with, is something I've experienced in my life. I traveled down south and all over the country, really, in the southern part of the country. And I had to pull the quote up here, but it's by George Augustus Moore. And the quote is, "A man travels the world over in search of what he needs and returns home to find it." Tolland is that place for me. I came back here for the education. I came back here for the people and the healthcare. And not everybody has what this town has. Specifically, what New England has offered historically throughout time, which is a long history of welcoming everybody and being kind to everybody. So, Republican, that's fine. But you should be able to work with each other. And that's what our founding fathers wanted. Otherwise, it's a system of unchecked balances. So whomever is sitting in these seats coming forward, it has to be for the good of your own foundational. There's, many times I scratch my head and be like, wow, I don't agree with that. But there has to be some kind of olive branch extended by both to meet a good result. I'm fortunate for those that champion me to be here. The things that I knocked on the doors 2 years ago, which you guys have heard me harp on, speeding signs and getting some more law enforcement in town for our kids is, I'll take that as a win for 2 years of service. And I couldn't have done it without, without my party's support, but also not my party's support, and calling Chris at 11 at night after sitting here for 4 hours, or asking Joe questions about financial issues I could never figure out. So, and then the guidance of our town manager, I think is imperative. To have that good system backing us in the decisions we make, so, I just want to thank everybody and I've enjoyed it. In a way.
Thank you, Councilor Newman. Other, communications petitions tonight?
I'd
like to,
Well, I'm just gonna echo, again, I can't be as eloquent as you are, on the spur of the moment here, but, thank you to all of you, especially stepping in, and, replacing somebody in the seat, and trying to get up to speed very quickly. So thank you for your indulgence, and, thank you to the town staff. Again, y'all keep a lot of balls in the air, especially Sarah Beth. And you'll, I can't say enough about your performance during budget season. You helped us a great deal, and you were thrown into the deep end really quickly. So I am going to, working with you on the fire department subcommittee, the fire subcommittee has been absolutely instrumental in trying to keep everything there on track. So thank you for all your efforts, because in addition to chairing this commission, Jacob also chaired that subcommittee as well. So yeah, there's a lot of work. So thank you for that. And I really, I hope I see all of you in some capacity here, sitting here, but I'm gonna miss Alex and I'm gonna miss Jacob if I don't.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, Jacob, Alex, I want to thank you and wish you well, and thank all of the counselors for appointing me and bringing me up to speed. It's changed my life. So
Thank you. And then, thank all, I want to thank all of you for your service, and I will just say with Mary Lee, this is, we run that committee in a very, business way, and it's very focused, and I really do appreciate all the expertise you bring to that committee. It's really valuable. So I think those projects are in good hands.
Yeah.
So if you want, I'll move to public listed participation. On any subject within the jurisdiction of the town council, this time with a 3-minute time limit. I'll go to the room first. Yes.
Just extemporaneous comments. Alex, public service is infectious, habit forming. Heck, I've spent 35 years trying to kick it. Good luck with that. You too, Jacob. On the matter of the community conversations, you kind of missed the point. It isn't just cost cutting. It's an opportunity for something much bigger. It's an opportunity to build community. It's an opportunity to bring people together from different perspectives, to change the dynamic of the two. So when I thought about these 4 ideas, it wasn't strictly with the idea of saving the town money. Yes, there was a little bit of that, because that kind of motivates you. You are the fiscal authority, right? And like carpenters, you see problems as nails and you need bigger hammers, right? But for the past 20 years, we really haven't moved the needle budget-wise. We really haven't moved the needle education-wise. And yet we chewed up enormous amount of medical capital and community goodwill, having these arguments that at the end of the day don't really change anything. So we're at a crossroads. With proposing the idea of regionalizing the high school, I was looking at targets of opportunity represented by the I-84 corridor. Wellington, Ashford, Union have I-84 going through it, and they send their students to either E.O. Smith or Stafford. I see that as a huge missed opportunity for Tolland. When at its height, Tolland had 3,100 students in 2010. and today, 2,200. In our high school, we've lost 300 students. From a perspective of fixed costs and economies of scale, losing 300 students and you still have to heat that building, and you still have to put electricity in there, and you still have to maintain it, that could be a main reason why the cost per student for education has gone up. We're losing the economies of scale, and we should be doing our darndest to fill up the school with students, if not here, then along the I-84 corridor. If you captured just a third of those 380 students, that would represent $2.8 million of tuition. Bear with me for another minute, please. 2.8 million. But Bob, you have to have more teachers. Yeah, okay, so you add 6 teachers, that's $500,000. That's 2.3 million to the bottom line. To do what? How would we attract these students? Well, competition is a good thing. I would go to the superintendent, who I think has already gone through this exercise in the interest of maybe making a magnet school. How would you steal those students away from E.O. Smith? How would you bring the 30 students a year that choose not to go to Tolland High School and go to a trade school or someplace else? How do we bring them back? How do we fill up that high school? And that is the topic of when you bring a community of business people and residents and educators and former council people and you hash it out. It's much bigger than what you guys can do here. The yellow limousine, $3.5 million, and it's only used a third. We did this study 20 years ago, and what did we find? At the end of it, state law says this district has to guarantee a seat for every student in the district. I think you could satisfy the spirit of the law. You said, by just saying, we will guarantee a seat for every student that wants it. Because there's a lot of parents who drive their kids. You could capture $1 million. That $1 million you could use to maybe pay for the teachers for this new curriculum. It just changes the whole dynamic of the community. Pedestrian safety, yeah, okay. Speed signs, rumble strips down the median, pedestrian crossing flags on the green. All of that could be handled by a non-political group that's appointed by the town manager, reports back to the town manager, and their work product is given to the council to take action. It's not a political process. It's a community process. And it's not one done in hybrid meetings. Gosh, no. I think you found that the best way to communicate with people, when you sit across from the table with them, they're going to respect you. But from behind a computer screen, gosh golly, that is unproductive. So, for you guys coming back, give it to Brian, say, let's run with this. Let's solicit input from the community. There has to be another dozen great ideas out there. Thanks.
Thank you. Move online. Go back to the room.
Village, Fishing Game Road. I agree with some of the things that have been saying here. The thing about the school and where I think you're wrong is the fact it is us and them. It shouldn't be, but it is. And when I brought up things about school buses and things like that, town council meetings, they say, oh, we can't discuss that. It's not our business. They propose a budget, it's their business. So if you want to do anything, change anything in the school, like I did, I went to the school budget meetings. And I finally got them to eliminate 2 buses. They couldn't come up with a good reason why, but they still finally agreed to. So all these things are good, but we actually have to go to the people that make the decisions, because the school boards, the school budget, they just say, here it is, you like it or not, and you pick the number or not, you send it back, and then they make their adjustments. So anybody that has any ideas for the school, and there could be a lot of places we could reduce, they need to have common sense, and you need to be there and talk to the people. That's what I learned. And I'm thankful that you guys passed the change with 60. I think you'll find that we're nowhere near penetrating as much as some people think. I think we can go up a lot more, but just if we revisited to this every couple of years, we could come up with a new number that's workable. And because our budget always goes up, the amount of money available always goes up. But I'd like to thank all of you for what you do. I've been asked to do this job a few times on numerous occasions, and I've always had to have the patience or, yes, I wouldn't be able to handle it because after a while, bantering round and round, I would just say what I felt like saying and wouldn't be politically correct. So I wish you all well. I look forward to those of you that come back. Hopefully it'll be some of you come back. Those that are leaving, thank you for what you've done, and everybody else, thank you for what you've done. Thank you.
Go online. All right, I think everybody in the room has spoken, so I'm gonna close public participation. I'll entertain motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:08 PM. So moved by Councilor Green, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Moran. I don't think there's any discussion on this one. Councilor Buckler.
Aye.
Councilor Newman. Aye. Councilor Green.
Aye.
Councilor Moran.
Aye.
Councilor Udi.
Aye.
Councilor Shay.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, so we are adjourned.